Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Friday Ramblings, and we're going to do something a little fun today. A little bit different, but not completely different, because this is kind of a follow-up to a video I did around this time last year where I discussed some great Dan Aykroyd films that you may not have seen. Basically just a quick rundown of the best of his movie career. Well, we're going to do the same with Dan Aykroyd's occasional co-star, Bill Murray. Because I love me some Bill Murray, as do a lot of people. So, let's get right down to it and do it. Real quick breakdown is Bill Murray is an American actor and comedian known for his deadpan delivery in roles ranging from comedies to independent dramas. His most frequent collaborations have been Ivan Reitman and Harold Ramis, both of them rest in peace, Wes Anderson, Sofia Coppola, and the Farrelly brothers. He's earned numerous accolades, including a BAFTA Award, 2 Emmy Awards, a Golden Globe Award, and 2 Independent Spirit Awards, as well as a nomination for an Academy Award, and in 2016, the Mark Twain Prize for American Humor. Now, of course, Bill Murray did start off in television, making his big national presence on Saturday Night Live. But, again, we are focusing on his movie career first and foremost. We're going to leave some of his personal stuff aside because this is about the joy of celebrating things. After all, it is a happy celebrating time of year. And we are celebrating his great movies. You have to start with Meatballs. Now, Meatballs has been discussed in great detail in a previous vlog, so we're not going to break it down too hard this time, but it is, in many ways, a classic Bill Murray film that sets the standards for what to expect from him as a movie actor. Good times, good times. Next few years he would do some movies like Mr. Mike's Mondo Video and Where the Buffalo Roam, which is a semi-biographical comedy film depicting author Hunter S. Thompson's rise to fame in the 70s. If you're wondering who that is, that name sounds vaguely familiar. Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. His next major break was in the movie Caddyshack, playing Carl Spackler. Now, this was a supporting role, but he did steal the show in many, many scenes, including some great times with Chevy Chase as they played off each other beautifully. The next year he would do Stripes, a military comedy where he worked with Harold Ramis, as well as a few other great celebrities such as the beautiful Sean Young and John Candy in a supporting role. Many, many others. We'll do Stripes in much more detail in the future. Thankfully, unlike Meatballs, it didn't get a bunch of unnecessary sequels. It didn't involve any of the original cast at all. See the Meatball vlog for more about that. But yes, Stripes, another excellent comedy that helped solidify Bill Murray as one of the preeminent comics of the 80s. However, it was in '84, 3 years later, that he created his most iconic character, along with the aforementioned Harold Ramis and Dan Aykroyd, and Ivan Reitman, and that is Dr. Peter Venkman of the Ghostbusters. In many ways, Ghostbusters was a cultural phenomenon. Again, I want to go into intense detail on Ghostbusters in the future because this is a movie that means so much to me. And I do want to give the movie all the fair credit it's due with a proper amount of time devoted to explaining exactly why it is so great. And just, I mean, everybody knows Ghostbusters. Yeah, we'll definitely have to get there later, but at this point, it was clear that casting Bill Murray in your movies, if you give him a good script, is a guaranteed way to make money. He would have a fun little scene-stealing moment playing off Steve Martin in supporting roles of the 1986 Little Shop of Horrors. Steve Martin was the psychotic, sadistic dentist that proves to be a victim of the Little Shop of Horrors, and Bill Murray is a patient of his in a scene that takes place at the dentist's office. The two bounced off each other wonderfully. Even if the rest of the movie is not your cup of tea, seeing these two true comedic experts is worth that scene alone. Definitely watch that scene, if not the rest of the movie. I highly recommend all the movie, but you know, it is a little dark. Horror. He had an uncredited cameo as himself in She's Having a Baby, the '88 American romantic comedy, directed by John Hughes. But it was later in 1988 that he put his mark on Christmas with his modern day take on the classic Christmas story of Ebenezer Scrooge, with Scrooged playing Francis Xavier Cross, a TV network executive who is all about himself and the ratings, at least until he gets visited by three ghosts. Honestly, this is my favorite Hollywood version of A Christmas Carol, mostly because besides Bill Murray, you have a huge supporting cast of great actors and actresses. Cannot recommend this movie enough. But beware, there is a lot of language. It is kind of like it. It is based off of Christmas Carol and also has a lot of profanity, so it's not something the little kids need to watch. But for the adults, it can be a fun time. A year later, he would do Ghostbusters 2, as Peter Venkman would prove he's not just good for a one and done. Anytime Pete's around, it's going to be fun. 2 years later, we get What About Bob? A movie directed by Frank Oz and also starring Richard Dreyfuss, where Bill Murray plays Bob Wiley, a mentally unstable patient who follows his psychotherapist on vacation. Again, with the great Richard Dreyfuss to play off of, Bill Murray proves once again that he can bring the funny. Excellent comedy if you enjoy either one or let alone both of these actors like I do myself. 2 years later, we would get Groundhog Day, directed by Harold Ramis, and also featuring Andy McDowell and Chris Elliott, along with a few others. Featuring the story of Bill Murray as Phil Connors, a cynical television weatherman who finds himself in a time loop, reliving the titular Groundhog's Day over and over again until he can figure out how to escape, possibly via a spiritual epiphany of his own. Now, this is a solid classic, but would also set up kind of this thing where as the 90s came in and the current trends in comedy shifted, Bill found himself, I'm not going to say really falling behind, but found his particular brand of comedy to work better in supporting roles. Groundhog Day is a great one, but you can kind of start to see where, that deadpan, snarky delivery was giving way to a different style of comedy in the 90s and a new generation of comedians for Bill to compete against. He took a little bit more serious turn in the American crime comedy drama Mad Dog and Glory, which also features Robert De Niro, Uma Thurman, and supporting roles from Richard Belzer and David Caruso. Again, if you want something, it's a really solid story with just enough comedy to keep you from taking it too seriously. It is a good movie to check out. It is a bit underrated. Things will start to shift again, as I said, but we do still have some good roles for him in the 90s. Playing the antagonistic Ernie McCracken against Woody Harrelson and Randy Quaid in Kingpin, as well as cameoing as a tongue-in-cheek version of himself in Space Jam, stealing the scene every time he's there. Let's be honest, we all love Michael Jordan, but when it comes to comedy and perfect delivery, he had nothing on his co-star Bill. A few years later, we get his first work with Wes Anderson, Rushmore. About a teenager named Max Fisher, his friendship with rich industrialist Herman Bloom, and their shared affection for elementary school teacher Rosemary Cross. After that, things would dry up for a couple of years until the Royal Tenenbaums, where Bill Murray had a supporting role in a major ensemble cast. Once again directed by Wes Anderson, we got Danny Glover, Gene Hackman, Angelica Houston, Gwyneth Paltrow, Ben Stiller, Luke Wilson, and Owen Wilson. Look, Wes Anderson movies are always a little quirky. Honestly, again, I could talk for a long time on Wes Anderson, and a lot of people have. But this is an ensemble cast this is a movie where pretty much every person cast in the movie is a great actor, and you just have to see the movie to understand it and to believe it. Cannot recommend this movie enough. If you've, it's just, again, I don't know how to describe it. It's a strange, quirky, dramatic, funny. It's Wes Anderson. He is a extremely unique director, and his movies have a flavor all of their own. We talked about it. Rushmore's got some to it, but Royal Tenenbaums is where Wes Anderson, just hit his stride, and Bill Murray was there all the way, killing it in his role and playing off everybody he worked with nicely. 2 years later, we would get the romantic comedy drama film Lost in Translation, where he worked with Sofia Coppola. Bill Murray starred as Bob Harris, a fading American movie star who is having a midlife crisis, where he travels to Tokyo to promote a whiskey brand, where he befriends a American named Charlotte, played by Scarlett Johansson, who is a recent college graduate. The film explores themes of alienation and disconnection against a backdrop of cultural displacement in Japan. The movie is, in a lot of ways, not what you expect out of it. It is an excellent movie, but it is a movie where it's not so much going to leave you entertained in the classic sense as it's one of those movies where, like, a day later, you start really understanding what you got out of the movie and how it made you feel. There's some heavy themes that are portrayed beautifully in this. That's basically how it was for me. Like, I watched the movie after it had been out for a while, and it was just one of those things where other stuff kept creeping on my to-do list. I eventually saw it, and it was like, I know that was a really good movie, but I can't really explain why. And then like a couple days later, it started coalescing for me. But yeah, if that sounds like your cup of tea, a movie that you're gonna realize later just what kind of thoughts it made you think and exactly how it made you feel about people, as they get older and kind of just start coasting through their life and living in a rut, and younger people trying to figure out if they're on the right path in life, and mixing that with being in a completely different culture surrounded by people that you don't even speak the same language as. Cannot recommend it enough. I mean, that's why we're talking about it. Solid movie. After that, we would get a double dose as Bill Murray would lend his voice to Garfield the movie, playing the titular Garfield. Super redundant meme. Trivia being glossed over. You know. However, later in 2004, we also got The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou, another Wes Anderson film, and for me personally, being somebody that's very big on marine biology and ocean life, my personal favorite Wes Anderson movie. We get a return of Angelica Houston and Owen Wilson, along with Cate Blanchett, William Dafoe, Jeff Goldblum, Bud Cort, and various others. The movie serves basically as both a parody and homage to French diving pioneer Jacques Cousteau, to whom the film is dedicated. And Bill Murray's classic deadpan delivery is perfect in this situation. He portrays Steve Zissou as a man who knows what he's doing with his life while at the same time seemingly having no clue what is going on around him, as he suffers from the loss of his longtime business partner and facing the idea that this next expedition and film may be his last. Just great one-liners to bring the comedy amidst a serious story of what is essentially a midlife crisis, mixed with just somebody who had been not dealing with reality for years, suddenly having to confront it, specifically the perception that other people have of him. Well, as I said, for those of you who are familiar with Jacques Cousteau, serving as a beautiful tongue-in-cheek homage. Must-see movie, in my opinion. Garfield, A Tale of Two Kitties would return him to the voice acting booth, and we would start to see him getting more supporting roles, most of whom I'm not really going to highlight because, again, they're kind of, as I said, supporting roles and stuff that I haven't even, not stuff I've directly seen, but he did keep busy. Bill Murray does play a version of himself in the movie Zombieland, which brings him back to Woody Harrelson, along with Emma Stone, Jesse Eisenberg, and Abigail Breslin. It's Zombieland. It's a comedy. There's zombies. There's Bill Murray and Woody Harrelson. So therefore, you should see it. Do you really need to be told anything more than that? After this, as I said, I'm going to skip over a lot of those more recent stuff just because I haven't seen it all, and more importantly, a lot of it, as I said, is supporting roles. We really want to look at stuff where you're going to get a lot of Bill Murray scene chewing time. And this is about my personal favorites, so we are going to say real quick, He did return for the sequel to Zombieland Double Tap, which is a good time all around. Had a cameo in the Ghostbusters reboot, known in some circles as Ghostbusters Answer the Call, as did most of the core cast from the original movie. I'm mentioning this movie just for the sake of the fact it is a Ghostbusters movie, and his particular cameo is well done in that he's playing a renowned skeptic to supernatural phenomenon, so it's amusing seeing him basically play a twist on not a twist, but a complete opposite, polar opposite, whatever your favorite term is, 180 on his Peter Venkman character. But the movie has a lot of problems. There's a reason its sequel did not get greenlit, and they quietly moved away from that continuity. I may do that as one of my rare, not super fun time vlogs, but not until after we discuss a lot of other Ghostbusters stuff. That's going to be like the, okay, I'm just in a bad mood and need to be bad type video. But go look up his individual scene on YouTube. That's all you really need to see in the movie. After that, he returned as Peter Venkman in the tail end of Ghostbusters Afterlife. Much more recommended modern Ghostbusters movie. Again, we're going to save a lot of the details until the end of it, but it was nice seeing Peter Venkman again and in full flavor and without holding anything back for the time he had. He will play Peter Venkman in the upcoming Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. He also had a small role in a supporting role in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Would be a little too much of a pun to say a small role. Get it? Because it's about people who shrink. They shrink, and I said small role. Small. Get it? It is comedy. Okay, I'm going to quit doing the Dr. Evil thing. It amuses me to do it, but I'm not going to pretend it's anything but what it is. And, I mean, really, as I said, we're skipping a lot of the television stuff because, you know, he's done a lot of guest roles, supporting roles. We're skipping some movies that he was in that were not highly recommended. But as a Bill Murray fan, with the exception of that Answer the Call thing, which, as I said, watch his individual scene on YouTube. That's good. I would recommend all the movies I brought up. Especially the Wes Andersons, your 80s trilogy of Meatball, Stripes, Caddyshack. All excellent movies. We actually have discussed Caddyshack in another vlog too, so we really got to do Stripes so we can finish off the trifecta of not Ghostbusters Bill Murray 80s icons. Good times, good times. But, you know, it's good. He is, Bill Murray's done a lot of stuff. For TV, just real quick, as I said, he's been on Saturday Night Live as a regular cast member and then come back and done hosting duties. He was on Second City Television. He was in Parks and Recreation for a single episode. He had a television special in 2015 called A Very Murray Christmas. All good stuff. He voiced Johnny Storm in the 1975 Fantastic Four radio show, along with having a recurring role on the National Lampoon Radio Hour, which predated SNL. So, good times, good times. But just all in all, that is our salute to Bill Murray. That is your recommended viewing list if you have not seen all of these things. Or even if you've seen most of them. And if you've seen all of them, you know what? You get a gold star. You get a thumbs up, and you get a gold star for being a Bill Murray fan. If you've seen this much Bill Murray, you got to be a fan of his. Otherwise, you're just a fan of other people that are in all these incredible movies, and it's just a coincidence Bill Murray keeps showing up. But I'd like to think you're at least neutral to him because he's not convincing you not to watch the movies. Hopefully, Mr. Murray will continue to act for quite a while longer and continue to get excellent roles that let him be at his comedic best. For now, though, I'm going to say goodbye to you. We got a few more episodes here in December, including our traditional year-end look-back wrap-up with a little bit of talk about what's going to happen in 2024. So that's good times. We also have a nice Christmas episode coming up because it is the holidays. I hope you come back in 7, or better yet, watch this, rewatch this on any time, and you might even see the next episode in just a moment. A little holiday marathon binging, why not? If you did enjoy this, leave a comment, like, subscribe, hit your notification bell, tell your friends, tell your family, tell a random stranger you see in the store while you're getting last-minute Christmas presents. Or feel free to just send me some Christmas candy. Hey. You can find me on Twitter if you would like to discuss show ideas. If you would like to tell me how much you hate my guts and how horrible my vlogs are, feel free to do that too, because we respect everybody's opinions here on Roulette Productions. But I hope you have nothing but positive thoughts, because we are here to entertain you, and it is a time of year where I want everybody to be happy, to be healthy, and to be full of holiday cheer, no matter which holiday you choose to celebrate, because, again, we want everybody to enjoy themselves and be themselves. Snow is coming, at least for some parts of the world, and a lot of holiday holly jolly is still to come. See you next time.